So a while back I made a video where I unboxed and kind of did a tabletop of my Menundi, which was new at the time. And I made the statement in that video that I've always wanted a Menundi, but never really wanted any other Chris Reeves knives. None of them interested me, including the Sebenza. Well, the more I played with the Menundi and, kind of walked around opening and closing it, and while I was on different phone calls and stuff, kind of just held it in my hand, the more I thought, maybe I should give the Sebenza a try. Maybe it's not that bad, right? Maybe it's worth a look. I'm not going to say that I bought the Menundi for any kind of actual purpose. There's no real argument that can be made that this is the best knife for any actual utilitarian application, right? That this isn't a hard use folder. It's not super utilitarian and in a way where you're going to go out and want to open up a ton of boxes with it or anything like that. But what it is, in my opinion, this is the best looking, this is the most aesthetically pleasing knife on the planet, and I've always kind of thought that. Again, this has got the bog oak inlays. This one is in S45 VN. I actually found it in, and it was made in 2023. That's the date of manufacturing, and I actually found this in a store. So one of my rules, or one of my things, is not only did I not want a Sebenza, but I also try, when possible, to buy things from local shops and support people in my community, right? Local business owners. So when I found this in a local store, I picked it up. But now I'm thinking, maybe I should give the Sebenza a try, because this is just a pleasure to hold and to open and close, and the build quality is excellent. So what did I do? I started looking around for a Sebenza, and I wanted a large Sebenza, but I ended up finding, and I couldn't find a Sebenza either at a local store or online, for that matter, that I actually liked. Because when you look at pictures of a Sebenza online, for instance, it especially with these, with different types of inlays or custom designs on them, when you buy that knife offline, you actually get, that's the actual knife you get. So if you're looking around for one, you should look, and you want one with, let's say, these inlays, right? So box elder or bog oak or any kind of other, the mammoth ivory, that's the knife you're going to get. So make sure that the design that's in that particular handle is what you want, right? The colors and all that. So I couldn't find one, and then by accident I found this small Sebenza 31, and the actual date of this being made was my birthday, so I got it, right? That seemed to be a sign that said it was okay for me to break not only my rule of, why do I want a Sebenza, but also don't buy it offline. So I did buy this offline as well. And so now I want to kind of go over my initial impressions of this knife and what I got with it. So it is, and I'll move this one up. It is a Sebenza 31, and it's bog oak inlays, and it has the gold anodized thumb stud and the little lanyard loop piece right here as well. It's the drop point blade, and this isn't the polished blade, but this is the regular drop point blade. And what it came with in the box is it came with the standard information about the knife, right? With this is in CPM Magnacut, and the Rockwell hardness is 63 to 64 on the Rockwell hardness, which I hear from, you know, watching different knife steel videos, that's the right heat treat for Magnacut. Is the titanium handle, so it's not the glass blasted light one, it's the darker titanium handle, and the inlays are bog oak, and I like the bog oak inlays. So, and then it comes with your little warranty card, sticker, the little timeline that oddly ends in 2019. I mean, I don't know why it ends then, and they haven't kept this updated, but I guess that's okay too. And then it comes with the diagram of the knife, the exploded knife, so that you can take it apart, which, like I stated in the other videos, is actually one of the things about Chris Reeve knives that I actually do like, is the fact that they encourage you to take it apart and clean it, and that it's simple enough that you can take it apart and clean it, and you don't void the warranty or anything like that. Comes with their microfiber cloth. This one came with not only some of the lube, but it also came with Loctite. My Menundi did not come with Loctite, and it came with the Allen key to take it apart, and then another one of their knife slips in case you wanted to like take the pocket clip off and put the knife in the slip to carry it in your pocket, and you have your lanyard, use your lanyard to pull it out. So with the same, you know, thing, think twice, cut once. So that's what you get in the box. And put all the stuff back. So what do I think of this knife now? Oh, so let me just go over some of the things about this knife that I also are different, I believe, than the 21. There's no hole under here. If you look through the inside, there's no hole. Well, actually, there's not supposed to be a hole. Yeah, there's no. If you look at that's the sun going. That's the light shining through the top hole. There's no hole inside the frame on this side underneath this inlay, and the inlays are actually it's milled out, and the inlays are actually set inside of the titanium handle. The inlay on the show side of the knife is one piece, and this looks way better and feels way better in the hand than some of the Sebenzas that I've held in the past that had the multiple lines here for the inlay. The back of this, the clip actually goes over. It's not completely on the lock bar. It actually goes over to the off the lock bar, and the inlay is kind of form fit here to where it'll fit in there. It has the new stop, or whatever they call it, on the end of the lock bar. It has the new end here to keep, I guess, to keep it from wearing out the lock bar, and supposedly to get a better lock. I've seen some internet things where this allows the blade to play back and forth, but this locks really well. I'm not going to say terms like bank vault lockup and that the blade opens like hydraulics, because I mean, anybody that knows anything about hydraulics knows that, well, there's liquid involved in that. There's no liquid involved in this, so it can't be hydraulic. So I'm not going to say crazy terms like that. But it does open and close relatively smoothly. There is some tension there. It's not flickable at this point. Maybe it will be after I open and close it a million times. But I actually like the fact that there's some tension here. This knife is different than, it's not a fidget toy, right? So if you want a fidget toy, I'll show you some knives for that here in a minute. But I'm going to carry, so I'm not going to carry this as an EDC knife, the Menundi, and I'm not going to be cutting open bags and boxes, and that's not why I got this knife. I got this knife to basically just enjoy having it. So the only thing that I'll probably cut with this knife, which I have, is myself. But this knife I am going to carry. And so I will go ahead now and do the normal comparisons that people make with these knives, so you can kind of see the size of it. So this is the small, right? And it is, while the Menundi is right under the 3-inch mark, making it legal to carry, or under the 3-inch mark, making it legal to carry, this is also right under the 3-inch mark, making this legal to carry as well. And I think they did that on purpose. I think it's like 2.9 inches, so it's perfect, right? So you can carry it in states or districts where there's a size restriction. And I don't live in one of those areas, so that's not going to impact me at all. But if you do, maybe it does impact you. So let's compare it to some other things. So everybody, this is the standard Benchmade bug out. And if we look at these two knives together, you can see that the handles are about the same length. The bug out is actually a little longer. As far as the blades go, the bug out blade is a little wider. Even though it's a drop point, it is a little wider. As far as thicknesses, to me it looks like the bug out is thinner, a little bit thinner. And that might just be because these inlays stick out a little bit, but it's not so much that it matters, right? The bug out does have a deep carry pocket clip. The Sebenza doesn't have a deep carry pocket clip, which makes me think, you know, if I'm going to carry this in the pocket, there's enough sticking out here that I might take this lanyard off. I might take the knife apart and take this lanyard off, because I'm not going to carry it in the sheath. I'm going to clip this to my pocket. So that's the bug out. So that's the bug out, and we'll do the size comparisons with the paramilitary, the Para 3 and the Para 2. So this is a normal size comparison. Everybody's seen the Spyderco knives, right? So as far as the size goes, it's way smaller than the Para 2. And for the Para 3, the Para 3 handle is wider this way and a little bit taller. And the usable cutting surface, though, on this knife is about the same, if not a little bit, actually maybe a little bit bigger on the Sebenza. So that's these knives out of the way. Then compare it to something else. So this is the Benchmade Foray, and I think this might be discontinued now. But this is a pretty knife too. So if you wanted a fidget toy, this is more of a fidget toy, right? Than the Sebenza with the axis lock. And for that matter, so is if you want to fidget with something. I like the compression lock. It's very fidgetable, right? So this is a good knife to, if you want to fidget with. This is a good lock. And both of those are in S110V, so it's crucible steel. And this is in, I think this is 20 CV. Yep, this is in 20 CV. And the blade on this knife is really close to the Sebenza, and the length of the handle is really close. It's actually a little bit bigger here. The width, though, this knife is wider by a little bit than the Sebenza. And the jimping, so these are pretty close, but the jimping on the Benchmade is crap compared to the jimping on the Sebenza. Now, what do I think of this knife as of now? So the build quality on this knife is awesome. I'm not going to say it's the best out there because I don't know what the best built knife is, but this is the build quality on this knife is really awesome. It is not an ambidextrous knife, So if you want an ambidextrous knife, the Spydercos are ambidextrous, the Benchmades are ambidextrous. There's a ton of actual ambidextrous knives on the planet, and this is not one of them. So this is the right-handed only version. Even if it had 2 thumb studs on here, it's still not ambidextrous really, because the lock bar is on this side, the frame lock bar is on this side, and there's not a big enough cutout here to actually really easily flip this open. So this is not an ambidextrous knife. So if you're looking for an ambidextrous knife, this isn't it. It did come out of the box. This one did come really sharp. I've heard stories how sometimes they come out of the box and they're not sharp. Maybe this is because this is a 2023 knife or something, I don't know. It has a flat ground, or not a flat ground, it has a hollow ground here, which if you run your fingers over here, you can feel the concave on both sides, which should make it cut better, because as the knife blade goes through whatever you're cutting, there's not a whole lot of extra blade here to get in the way and give resistance, because this is recessed. So I actually like this. I like this blade design a whole lot. Time will tell what happens as I start to sharpen it. But with Magnacut, I'm wondering how often that's going to be, and how hard it actually is going to be to sharpen. Which I hear that it's probably not going to be that hard to sharpen, but it should hold an edge pretty good. So if this has the same, so another thought about this knife, being that it's in Magnacut, it's supposed to kind of mimic the toughness of something like a 3V steel. Is this a hard use knife? I'd have to say this is not a hard use knife. First of all, it's not really big enough for that. Second, it's not, I don't know. I don't believe that this to be a hard use knife. A hard use knife, and I have what I consider a hard use knife. This is a hard use knife. This is the Adamas, right? And I have this knife in both manual and auto, but this is a hard use knife, and there are plenty of knives out there from Zero Tolerance that I could break out that are hard use knives, things that you can just pound on all day. The lock bar is huge, the blade stock is ridiculously thick, the handle is made out of something that you could smash through a glass window if you had to. I mean, I've actually opened 10 cans with this, and it didn't hardly scratch the surface of it. So this is a hard use knife. This is not a hard use knife. Doesn't have as thick a blade stock, although the back of the spine is rounded. I mean, just the attention to detail on this knife is awesome too. The other thing I've heard this knife called is a tactical knife. Now, I'm not a super tactical person, but I don't think this is a tactical knife either, for a couple reasons. One, there's not a ton of traction here. If your hands got wet from whatever they might get wet from in a tactical situation, there's not a whole heck of a lot of grip here. This isn't a fully ambidextrous knife, and in a tactical situation, I can see where you would probably need the ability to open this knife with either hand, right? Not just the hand because your right hand might be busy doing something else in a tactical situation. You need to open this knife with your left hand, right? So this isn't a tactical knife. An example of a tactical knife, and I'm sorry I'm breaking out Benchmades, but that's the box that was sitting on top in my safe when I went to grab knives out of here for this. This is a tactical knife. This is the Benchmade Rift. This is actually this is an Osborne design. This is actually a limited edition. I actually got, it's probably not going to show up. Anyway, this is a limited edition knife. So it's numbered, and this actually came from a year at SHOT Show. So this is a SHOT Show exclusive knife. But this is a tactical knife. You can open it with either side. You can close it with either side, See, I can open and close it with my left hand. It can be flicked open, so it can be deployed a lot faster. This is a tactical knife, what I would consider a tactical knife. This is not. So where does this actually fit in? and the time will tell, and I'm going to do a follow-up on this after hunting season, because I'm going to carry this knife every day from August the 15th, basically, all the way through the end of turkey season in April, right? So I'm going to do a follow-up from time to time on this knife and see if I have any issues with it, any blade play forming, if it starts to overextend itself when I push down on it, if the Magnacut doesn't hold up. But what I think this knife is this is just a really solidly made EDC knife. And maybe a piece of pocket jewelry too, because it does look good, right? But I'm going to use this knife, and I'll come back and give everybody. So one of the things you notice I did not talk about the price of this knife, and the reason is, and I'm kind of changing my opinion on these things since I started my YouTube channel. I've done comparisons between firearms, let's say, where I've compared a $5,000 handgun to a $1,500 handgun, and I've gotten comments, why are you comparing those two? You obviously don't know what you're doing. Well, I'm comparing them because, to me, price doesn't make something good or bad. If the features and the functionality of the two items are the same, I don't care if it's a $50 knife or however much I paid for this knife, or if it's a comped gun at $1,500 versus a comped gun at $5,000, for instance. I don't see where the price should get into which gun is better, for instance, because I can tell you that $1,500 gun that I reviewed versus the $5,000 gun, that $5,000 gun is awesome, but it's not 300% better. There's a point of diminishing returns. So if you're looking for just a normal everyday EDC knife, and I don't think that you should be that you necessarily have to look at a Sebenza. The bug out probably does everything that the Sebenza does, and I've got bug outs in multiple different configurations with different handles. There's also something like this, the Crooked River from Benchmade. This is an awesome looking knife as well from their Hunt series. This is an S30V though. So if you're one of those people that now all of a sudden thinks S30V is a horrible blade steel, which it's not, but if you're one of those people that can't do anything less than Bowler M390, then this isn't the knife for you. But S30V is an awesome blade steel. I have managed to get enough blood on it here though that there's a little bit of surface patina, or I don't want to call it rust, I'll call it patina, that sounds better. But I have managed to get enough blood on it for that to happen. But you don't have to go to this, level. So I had that with a handgun, and I also had it with a rifle, where I made a video that I lovingly referred to the Tikka T3X as probably one of the best budget rifles on the planet. And somebody immediately said, this isn't a budget rifle. Okay. So that tells me that I don't know what a budget tool or gun is anyway. And so I've learned that people put different values on things, and what I think is budget and what other people think is budget are two different things. And that I'm just going to compare things based on what they're for and their use. And this, to me, is a really, really good everyday carry knife. So that, and it's American made. I do like to support, where possible at least, American companies, although these Spydercos, these are made on USA Earth, so that these aren't. But I do have some overseas, and these are made in Colorado, but I do have some overseas Spydercos that I like. So, but where possible, I do buy American. So that is kind of my overview of this knife. If you're looking for this to do something that you can't get from the Atom or from any Benchmade or Spyderco or Civivi. There's some really, really good Civivis out there too, right? Then probably sadly, you're going to be disappointed. But if you're looking for a really awesome everyday carry knife that fits, and you're right-handed or left-handed, you buy the appropriate one. And this is, this is a really well-built knife. And the fact that you can take it apart and put it back together really easily means a lot to me, because I'm going to get, dust in here from cutting open bags of corn, and potentially, blood and whatever other wonderful things can come off of an animal and get stuck in here, and I'm going to have to clean this out, and they want you to clean this out and take care of it. So now that I have the small one, I'm probably going to look around and find a large Sebenza 31, but I'll take my time. I might get it in box elder, because I like the in the box elder, it's a lighter color here, and there can be swirls of red throughout the wood. So I'm going to look around and find one that I really like the pattern for. And I don't think I'll get Damascus steel, although those really look cool, but I don't know enough about Damascus to know if I can use it. So actually use it. So if I got that, it'd be probably a safe clean. And I'm okay with people getting things like I got this, and this is a safe clean. I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I probably never use in the wild. It's just, makes me happy, right? I'm okay with people doing that, because this is a hobby, and for a lot of us, we collect stuff, right? But for this knife, I got it to use. And for the 31, I'll probably get it to use. I might get the full polished blade. That looks really cool too. And see how well that holds up. But I'm going to start looking around for that. So again, this isn't a tactical knife, because it's not ambidextrous. You can't open this really quickly. This isn't a hard use knife, whatever that means. I had another comment. I enjoy these comments that people put. Somebody said, I have the bug out with the titanium handles, and somebody put a comment out there to stay away from the knife because it would fall apart if you tried to open a beer can or bottle with it. If you tried to open a beer bottle with it, and they named another knife, they're like, it's much better. Well, I don't open my beer bottles with my cutting tools to begin with. I carry a Benchmade, the titanium Benchmade, the one with the S30 V blade in it. I carry that. So whenever I'm frequenting a location where I may get attacked by a roaming gang of 12 or 24 bottles of beer, which around here, that's possible, and we've called these gangs cases. I carry my Benchmade, my Leatherman for that, right? I carry my Leatherman for that. It's got a bottle opener on it, and there has been more than one occasion that I've had to break that out and save a group of people from a bunch of non-twist off beer bottle caps. So I don't open my knives with this is a cutting tool. I'm not opening up bottles with it, right? And if I was opening up bottles with it, this is D2 tool steel. If I was opening up a bottle and I happened to be in a tight place and the angry gang of, beer jumped me in a dark alley, this would be the knife that I'd like to have for that, because the liner is steel in here, right? So I could open up the bottle with that. But this isn't a hard use knife, and it's silly to walk around trying to open up beer bottles with your knives. That's not what they're for. So anyway, now I'm going to do the obligatory plea for subscriptions that everyone does on YouTube. So if you've made it this far, you're either a member of my family, in which case I'll see you for the 4th of July, right? Or one of the guys who I'll see for the 4th of July, or you're going to like and subscribe to this video, and I really do appreciate it. So thanks, and have a wonderful rest of your day.